This is the unfiltered feed. The unfiltered feed.
Hello, friends, welcome back to the Unfiltered Feed. And today we are going to talk about Kolkata Knight Riders and preview their squad before the IPL. So let's get straight into it. This year, KKR, I don't know if it's fair to judge them because I think they have been one of the most unlucky teams in terms of injury. So let's get into it straight away. What do you think about their injuries, first of all?
Yeah, definitely not the first time we are starting our preview with injuries, and hopefully it is the last time. I think KKR have been hit hard because to begin with, they didn't have quite a lot of fast bowling resources, and now fast bowlers are what they're losing left, right, and center. So it is a big concern because you have lost Matisha Pathirana possibly for at least the first half of the season, and then Harshit Rana for the entire season, and you have also lost Akash Deep. So that is three of your potential starters going out, and you've got a fairly thin backup pool of pacers. So that is my biggest concern for them, and hopefully the bowlers that they have remaining, who are Umran Malik, Karthik Tyagi, who've been out of reckoning for a while. Hopefully, they get a chance to kind of resurrect their careers.
Yeah, I think the only blessing for them is is availability of blessing Muslimani, but more than that, it's the spinners. I think the tracks in Kolkata this time will should hopefully return back to the days of Gautam Gambhir, where they used to support the spinners really well. This time they also have Sunil Narain and Varun Chakravarti, and along with him, there's Anukul Roy, who looks like will start for KKR. He's played the IPL for several years, but he's never been a starter. So, do you expect him to be an important player for them this time?
Yeah, he's been in possibly the best form of his life, and I am predicting this to be a breakout season for him. So let's see how that goes. And I think he has to play a major role. He is a great fielder, everyone knows that, and he can chip in with the ball, especially at home. But this time around, I see his batting improving quite a lot as well, and he can easily slot into that number 8ish role and maybe get pushed at the top because they don't have many left hand options apart from Rinku Singh. So if need be, he can also be used as a floater. So I see him being a very good player to have in this particular side.
Yeah, he reminds me a bit of Krunal Pandya, and KKR usually like their all rounders a lot, so he'll be a very important player. So let's talk about the major strengths in this side. Despite all the injuries, I think they have a few really strong strengths. So the first one is the quality overseas players with backups. If you look at the top, you already see Finn Allen, Tim Seifert, and Rachin Ravindra, three of New Zealand's biggest performers in the recent T20 World Cup. So that should be a good skill set that they have. Do you see just Finn Allen playing, like you've mentioned here, or do you see two of them, or maybe even three? But three sounds a bit too much. But do you see them playing two of the top three?
Yeah, that is something they have to figure out. If they want more strength at the top, maybe you can go with an Indian pacer instead of Blessing and play both Finn Allen and Tim Seifert. Honestly, I don't see Rachin as a direct backup to either of those two. I instead see him as someone who can replace Cam Green because though he has been paid a lot of money, he hasn't played much good T20 cricket in the recent past. So there are chances his season doesn't go as planned, and you always need someone who can replace him. But I think at the start, Finn Allen is a good option. And maybe because Finn Allen doesn't like to keep anymore, I see them go with Tejasvi Dahiya, who can potentially be another breakout star. I've seen him play really well and he strikes the ball big. So he can be the keeper, or I've heard that Krish also keeps, but it doesn't sound very safe, especially when you have to keep against someone like a Sunil Narain and Varun Chakravarti. You need experienced pair of hands behind. So if they want, they can start with Seifert instead of Finn Allen, because Saifut keeps, and then they don't need to play Dahiya. So that is something they need to work out. But I wouldn't like to see the kind of talent Finn Allen has to be wasted sitting on the bench, especially with his current form.
Yeah, I was really tempted to make the case for both Finalen and Seifert because they are in top form, like they showed in the World Cup. In the semi-final, they basically did the job entirely for New Zealand, and the match was also in Kolkata, so they have done well at Eden Gardens. But like you've seen in the weaknesses section, the issue for them is they don't have a lot of Indian strength. Because if you see players like Rahul Tripathi, Manish Pandey, even Angakrish Raghuvanshi and Tejas Dahiya to an extent, I don't think you can rely on them to win you games. Which means you need to play a Cam Green or Sunil Narine still, which is why you can't play both Seifert and Allen. If they can manage to do that somehow, that would be incredible because I believe these two remind me a lot of Johnny Bairstow and David Warner when they used to open for Sunrisers because you had both of them and they would mostly do the heavy lifting for the batting unit. So they have a great chance of replicating that here, but I just hope that the Indian players somehow can overperform and then they will be able to do this.
Yeah, and I believe that in this team, the captain is kind of blocking a spot because he is a liability. Because if he doesn't open, he's only going to. You can't rely on him to win you games from the middle order. And once he is slated to open, you are blocking the spot for another explosive batter. I know he is quite explosive at times, but I strongly believe that there are other better ways to structure this team if they didn't have Ajinkya Rahane locked in this 11. Maybe this has to be his last season because last year I remember the one problem they had was they had a lot of resources, but all of them were untapped and nobody was used to their full potential. You had in one of the games Angakrish Raghuvanshi coming in at number 9, and you had all 11 batters, and number 11 being Harshad Rana. You had Moin Ali come at 10, and it was absolute chaos. And while you expect with having so many batters that everyone will go bang bang from ball one, the reality was that nobody knew their role in the team because in one game they were opening, the next game they were at 6 or 7. So it was really poor planning from the management, and you had so many batting options, yet nobody actually delivered for them. And that is why I feel they need to reduce the quantity and focus on quality this time.
Yeah, I agree, but I also don't see any improvements this year because if you look at players like Angakrish Raghuvanshi, Rahul Tripathi if he plays, Manish Pandey if he plays, and then the three mentioned at the top along with Rahane, and even Cam Green, all of these players prefer batting in the top three. So you can't have a batting order where everybody prefers to play at top three because then you're most of them are playing out of their position. And then Rinku Singh once again will be forced to only be the finisher. And I think he has a lot of potential to come in the middle overs and carry the innings from there.
Yeah,
And then
that is
Ramandeep
exactly
again.
where Ajinkya Rahane kind of sticks out like a sore
Yeah,
thumb because imagine if he wasn't there, you would have had someone like Angakrish who loves to bat in the top three actually get
yeah,
that position. Maybe Cam Green as well. He did well in India when he opened or batted in the top three for MI. So
yeah.
you can play all of them and you still get Rinku Singh fairly quickly into the game. But now, at the least they can do, because you can't drop your captain, the least they can do is at least not fill your team with batters till number 9 and 10 and keep rotating their positions. Instead, just have a fixed set of batters, don't extend it too much, and give everyone fixed roles.
Yeah. So the point I was making is you have Rinku Singh who's only going to finish innings. Then you have Ramandeep Singh who will come after Rinku Singh, who is also a very decent batter. And then you have Sunil Narain, who only works as an opener. So he's also in that middle order model. So KKR, it's very weird because they have stacked their batters with top order players, and now they have no one to finish the innings apart from Rinku. And they have someone like a Robman Powell sitting outside, but because of the dynamics of the side, he won't come in. Even though he's a world class finisher, he has to stay outside. Otherwise, they drop someone like a Cam Green, who they have paid so much money for, or then they have to drop Blessing Muzarabani, and then the entire bowling attack or the pace attack becomes extremely inexperienced. So it's a very weird squad that they have, and I'm hoping that
Yeah,
Abhishek Nair somehow will manage to find the right balance.
yeah. I think with their best chance here to succeed is if either one of Umran Malik or Kartik Tyagi is doing well and is in good rhythm, because then they can play that Indian pacer and then it opens up another spot for an overseas player to take up at the top or anywhere in the middle for that matter. So that is something they would hope, and I think they will miss the services of Harshit Rana this time around,
Yeah,
because just adding him would have made a huge difference because that overseas spot is very valuable.
yeah. So now let's talk about the major arcs or major players to watch out for. We obviously mentioned Anukul Roy, but what sort of expectations do you have for him?
First of all, I hope he gets to play because I've also seen the management rate Daksh Kamra very highly. He's another mystery spinner that they've bought. So if they want to go full throttle with that philosophy, you never know. But I think Anukul Roy, if he gets a chance, he's going to be very good for them. He's in, as I mentioned before, terrific form, and I think you have to utilize his form. But when you've got a batting stacked to the brim, I don't see him contributing much with the bat. And that is why I fear that they might prefer playing the mystery spinner over him, because as a bowler, I think Daksh has a better chance to deliver than Anukul.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't seen both of them play in a long time, so I'll have to go with what you say. But the one player that I'm really looking forward to seeing how they perform is Ajinkya Rahane, the captain. I hope he stays the captain for the entire season because KKR is very famous to drop their captain midway. Because dropping him, like you said, would make a lot of sense. But I hope they don't do that. And I hope he also performs well because last year he was their best batsman and he had a very good strike rate as well. So this is, I think, a bit of his image from previous years that is tampering him. But I think he's trying his best to evolve his game. But age is something that you can't fight for long. And I hope he can try his best and have a respectable season and then we can see what he does.
Yeah, I think his hunger is what will determine how his season goes, because he doesn't really have much to prove because he's not in the reckoning for the national team. He voluntarily got himself removed from the domestic season in the middle of the season and was happy with his commentary stints at Crickbus. So it depends on him. If he is happy with that, then you might see him playing his last season here and just leave. And if he is very determined to maybe serve KKR in this cycle, then maybe you will see a different version. And I hope the latter is what KKR get from him.
Yeah, it will be very disappointing if we see Ajinkya Rahane at in the Crickbuzz live show midway during the season. So I hope that doesn't
Doing
happen.
the combox from the dugout.
And now, like we said, the pace attack is very unknown. I don't think most of them have played a lot of IPL cricket. So who do you think is going to be the leader of this pace bowling attack and what sort of expectations do you have from all of them?
I think Mozerbani will like the conditions at Kolkata because he'll get the bounce and he's a very tall and accurate bowler. So I see him kind of play the role someone like a Josh Hazelwood plays, and he is quite dangerous. So I think he will fill in as the leader of the attack in the absence of Mathisha. And they would kind of hope that Pathirana does eventually come because he's yet to pass the fitness test, but at some point he will. So once
Yeah,
he comes, he should take up that role. But again, as I mentioned, would like to see Umran Malik or Kartik Tyagi, one of them do well, because that would open up a lot of possibilities in this team.
yeah, I agree. So Muzarabani is replacing Fizz, not Pathirana. So Pathirana can still
Yeah.
come back midway. Yeah, I agree that he should be the leader of this attack. I'm also excited with Vaibhav Arora because I think a few years back when he was in Punjab, he had a very good season 1 year, and I think he also was important in the title-winning campaign for KKR a couple of years back. So he hopefully he can live up to his potential. And just one thing to all the KKR fans, if you're watching, I don't think you should judge your team's performance based on this season because this is an anomaly. Your three lead pacers, which is Mustafizur, Matisha Pathirana, and Harshit Rana, getting injured. It never happens. It's a one-time disaster. So I hope you guys can still keep your optimism high. And this team, even without your bowlers, it's not that bad. So I hope they can maximize their batting.
Yeah, and I think this was going to be a big season for them, even before the injuries, because this was a kind of a change of guard with Chandrakant
Pandit.
Pandit leaving and Abhishek Nair taking control, and they also got in Shane Watson as a coach, and DJ Bravo is of course there, and Andre Russell moving on. So in many ways, this was the kind of something that would have gotten them into their new era, but they stuck with Ajinkya. And I think one other thing to notice is they invested heavily in Venkatesh Iyer last year in the mega auction. So he was seen potentially as a future captaincy candidate, and then they pivoted to Ajinkya. And what I felt at that time was they wanted Venkatesh to not feel the pressure of the purse or his prize and captaincy both together. So they wanted to let Ajinkya take him under his wing for a season or two and then grow. But they felt the need of that money. So within one season, they kind of reverted on their decision to back Venkatesh, which was a bit weird. But with Pandit gone, I could see that happening. So in many ways, this is a fresh page in KKR's legacy, and hopefully they can do a bit better at least than the previous season.
Yeah. So whatever they do this time, next year it's only going to get better as their pacers come back. And they may come back midway as well, like we mentioned. Plus, you just spoke about a new era, and I would like to make a wild prediction. I think Ajinkya Rahane will be replaced by another Mumbaiker from a different franchise, a left-handed opener, as the captain from next year. I see that happening. I won't take the name, but I've almost given it away. So we'll see if that works out. But for now, let's go to the predictions for this year. Where do you think KKR is finishing?
Uh, I'll put them at number 10 because
Whoa.
bowling is going to be weak. But unlike the other teams who have a weak bowling attack, I don't see their batting being too strong either. It is very dependent on Finn Allen having a good season and all the youngsters kind of living up. I think that's too much of a asterisk for them, and I put them at 10.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Before I make this prediction, I would like to make a change. I think I rated GT pretty poorly. They haven't had a single injury and they have some decent bowlers. So I'm placing them in number 7 and I would like to put KKR in at number 9. So it's looking like a very similar prediction table. Only two teams left and I have both my playoff spot open. So it's just a matter of who finishes in P2 versus P3. Whereas for you, you've got two extreme ends open. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so with that, we have come to the end of the KKR preview, and we've just got two more teams to go. Hopefully, KKR have a blast this season, and hopefully, you had a blast watching this video. And until next time, Kolbo Rolbo Jeetbo Re.
Jaiswal.
स्टेडियम में शोर है एनर्जी ऑन द फ्लोर है दिस इज द अनफिल्टर्ड फीड द अनफिल्टर्ड फीड